Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon for this webinar on Naibor Camps in the Masai Mara. Just a bit of housekeeping. We will be recording this webinar as always, and we'll be popping it on our YouTube channel. And later this week, we'll be sending out a follow-up, which will include the recording and everything you might need to be selling Naibor. Please do pop questions in the Q&A, and we will get to them at the end. And of course, Anita and I are always available via email or on the phone. So if you think of any questions after the webinar is over and we've finished, you're more than welcome to send them through to us. So Naibor is a collection of camps in the Masai Mara Reserve. So we're inside the National Reserve, and you've got kind of something for everyone, really. We've got main Naibor, little Naibor, and Naibor Wilderness. So we'll dive a bit deeper into each of the kind of mini camps within the Naibor collection. So Naibor has been a client of Small Marketing's for about 16 years now, and it's one of Anita's longest standing clients, and it has always been a really great sell in the Mara Reserve. We rarely get complaints for Naibor, and it's just in a wonderful location, offering kind of everything guests want from a Mara stay. So this is for any of you who don't know Kenya so well, or the Mara so well. This is a map of Kenya. Guests generally will fly into Nairobi if they're heading to the Mara, and then transfer it to Wilson Airport, and you can fly from Wilson into the Mara. There are direct flights from Lewa into the Mara as well, which is a really nice twin, from the Laikipia sort of areas. Say Lewa because we have Lewa Wilderness, and I know that there we have our direct flight there, but there's also other direct flights from the Laikipia regions, and those are really nice to twin with the reserve. So the Masai Mara National Reserve is down here on the border with Tanzania, so it is sort of one ecosystem with the Serengeti, and you can see here where Naibor is. So we're sort of in the heart of the reserve. We fly into Old Kiombo airstrip, and then we have a road transfer over to Naibor. And this is just sort of a vague understanding of the migration and where it is when it is in the Mara. Obviously, this is different all the time, especially these days with these sort of natural phenomena being so much more difficult to predict. And I will chat a bit more about the migration in a bit. This is a very professional map of the camp. It does what it needs to do, and it is gives us a good understanding of the layout of the property. So we're on the Talek River, which is a tributary of the Mara River, and we've got main Naibor here just in the centre of this page. So we've got 7 tents at main Naibor and a spa tent. On this beautiful bend in the river, we've got the Naibor mess tent and the main bathroom, as well as the kind of shop and the office area. And this is all overlooking the river. So all these tents and the main area are overlooking the river. And then we have got Little Naibor just up here. So Little Naibor is our family option. There's just 2 tents here, but they are both with 2 rooms each. And the Little Naibor and main Naibor share this main mess area. Then over on the far left here, we've got Naibor Wilderness, which is our slightly more rustic offering, and that's got 3 tents and a mess area, so it's its own kind of self-contained camp. So this is kind of diving a bit deeper into each of those options. So Naibor Wilderness, as I said, is a slightly more rustic option. It's a brilliant option for small groups. It can be taken exclusively really easily because it's got that little private mess area. Slightly simpler in design and the interiors than the other tents, but it's still just as comfortable. Same size tents, in fact, just slightly more simple in its design. It is also set back slightly from the river, so you're really in amongst the trees there. We've then at main Naibor got the 7 tented suites, so they are again lovely big tents. You've got this gorgeous sort of chunky fig wood furniture, all ensuite bathrooms. That's the same at Naibor Wilderness, with safari showers, and it's got a lovely large day bed just outside, so really nice for chilling out here in the day. And then you have got sort of table and chairs down by the river as well, so you can walk down and sit by the river in the day at main Naibor. We've then got the Little Naibor suites. So these are perfect for families. As you can see from this photo here, you've got 2 bedrooms connected by a central living area. It's got a lovely design here. Again, that lovely chunky fig wood furniture. And you can dine privately at the tents at Little Naibor. So for guests who've got children with them and maybe want to sort of kids have an early dinner and then mum and dad dine privately at the room, they can do that. That is also available at all the other tents as well. So a quick kind of look, sort of overview in terms of location. We are in the heart of the Masai Mara, as you saw on that map, on the Talek River. So 40-minute scheduled flight from Wilson, or you can actually drive 6 hours by road. And I actually think it's a bit shorter than that now, because I know that the roads, having chatted to them, have been updated. So you've now got a tarmac road all the way into the entrance to the Mara Reserve. That's a quick look at the rates. That's obviously just kind of our low season and high season rates. And then in terms of activities at Naibor, it's mostly game drives, because we're in the reserve. We're more restricted with the activities. We can do walks outside of the reserve. We have an area near Mara North Conservancy where we take guests for walks. That is something that guests should try to arrange in advance with the property. If you can arrange that in advance, they'll be very grateful. And then we also have got a lovely spa tent, and of course we've got hot air balloons in the reserve, so that's a really awesome activity that guests can add on, and then also cultural visits to the local village. So we run a special year round. So we have 4 for 3, and then we also have 3 for 2 in those lower season months. So just the 4 for 3 during the high season. So main Naibor, we are doing a few little updates here. These have we've had a very busy season, so it's been hard to get all of that completed, but hopefully we will have new photos in the next few months of the property, so that we can showcase some of the little changes we've done. Nothing too crazy. We still have the same tent layout, just sort of a few little updates just to bring it up to date. But as you can see, we've got these beautiful big suites. You've got that lovely outdoor daybed area where you can chill during the day. And then a lovely spacious ensuite bathroom as well. So flushing toilets, we've got running water and safari showers. And then out the front as well, you have got a hand wash basin for when you come back from activities. So it can all be opened up like this during the day. So it's a really, really lovely space. We've then got Little Naibor. So Little Naibor, as I said, is our family option. So you've got 2 lovely big rooms, one with a double and one with a twin bed. Both have got en suites. These are with, again, running water, flushing toilets, and then bucket showers. And you've got a lovely big living space in between as well. And then that kind of area outside with the lounges as well. So as I said, it's an easy option to dine privately here. Although guests don't need to, if kids go to bed early and mum and dad are happy to, we can pop an ascari outside and mum and dad can go and have dinner at the main mess area, so they can have that little bit of freedom. But it is a really nice space. It's nice being all under one canvas with kids, but still having your own separate bedrooms. I think that's really lovely and important. And it does have its own little fire pit area at Little Naibor. So for sundowners or for just a spot to chill in once the kids have gone to bed is really nice. So main Naibor and Little Naibor share a main mess area, and one of the changes that's happened in this main mess area is this beautiful decked area out the front has been extended in the kind of updates we've been doing. So this deck actually goes out a little bit further. We've got a more permanent balustrade in, and that means that guests can kind of lean over, they can look out over the river. You can see our resident pod of hippos just here. You can kind of look round the bend in the river now, and you have such an incredible view there. Guests who are making the most of that 4 for 3 offer. It's really nice to actually have an evening in camp where you have your sundowner just here. The sunset from the property is beautiful. So this deck has just literally been, it's pretty much been doubled, and you've just got a really lovely view now across that. And the same at the side. We've now got some lovely lounges at the side, so you can you can chill here in the day as well. We obviously kind of have a little bit of time in the day between activities, so it's nice to have somewhere to relax. So there have been a few little updates. Obviously the camp is so beautiful, but just those little tweaks that need to happen every now and again to keep it up to date. So as I said, as soon as we've got imagery for that, we will be sending it through. We generally do a kind of communal dining structure. If guests want to dine privately, they are more than welcome. That's kind of stayed since COVID. You know, we don't sort of make guests dine communally anymore, which is really nice. So they have that option of either being very sociable or having, you know, private dinners set up for them, especially if it's you know, a special occasion, a honeymoon or anniversary. The camp staff love setting up something so special for couples. We have these lovely kind of buffet style lunches in the day, so it's all kind of set out, so whenever guests get back they can be very relaxed about what time they get back. There's no kind of specific time you need to be back at camp for lunch, and then they can just help themselves as and when they're there. We have our lovely spa tent, and so this is a really nice way, especially when you've had an African massage in the vehicles. It's very bumpy out in the reserve. It's very nice to come back and have a massage, and you do get a complimentary 15-minute neck and shoulder massage on arrival as well. So looking at Naibor Wilderness, so this is our lower priced offering, slightly more entry-level pricing, and as you can see, the tents are lovely and spacious. They are huge still, just that slightly more simple design in furniture. Again, you can dine privately here. We've got an ensuite bathroom as well, with flushing toilets, running water and safari showers, and they are really lovely spacious tents. But yeah, just set back slightly from the river, all surrounded by the trees. We have this main mess area as well. So there's only 3 tents at Naibor Wilderness, so we have a slightly smaller mess area here, and this has had a little bit of an update as well. So just some more comfy couches put in, so it's a nice space to kind of hang out in. But it's really lends itself well to being taken over exclusively by either a family group, or we get a lot of photographic groups here as well, because it's you know, guests can kind of leave their things in the main mess area and don't need to worry about them. So that's really nice for that, and it does feel like a really lovely exclusive camp. It's so easy for it to be taken exclusively. Of course, being that we've got Little Naibor and of course Naibor Wilderness, we do the camp does lend itself to family travel, and the guides are fantastic. They're really great, engaging kids, you know, getting them, you know, playing out in the reserve, showing them how to use, you know, how to use a camera, showing, you know, keeping them really engaged, I think, in a way that is not required so much for adults. So I think it is really lovely that we have such great guides for that. We love setting up you know, a bush breakfast, or staying out and having beautiful sundowners. What we benefit well from being in the heart of the reserve and being in such a brilliant location is that we can be, you know, out. So first thing, as soon as we're allowed to be out, we can be out, and we can be out in the reserve as late as possible, just nipping back right before that sunset. So it's really, really great where we are located. Of course, game drives are the main event in the reserve, and you just have this incredible density of game in the Mara. Anyone who's been knows that you know, you can see absolutely everything here, and it is such an incredible experience. And I think it's such a vast area as well, or it feels so vast, that being out in a vehicle is so great. You can traverse such a wide landscape. We can also do walking, as I said. We have a little area we use up near Mara North Conservancy, and so that is not an included activity, but it is something that we can add on. And definitely, if you know your guests are going to want to do that, it's really nice to just let the camp know beforehand so that we can get that arranged. We can do a village visit, and this is a really lovely activity. These are actually Anita's kids. They came here a couple of years ago and they absolutely loved this. They took a rugby ball with them and played rugby with some of the kids. And it just felt like a really, a real sharing of knowledge and a sharing of culture, and not sort of contrived in any way, which is really nice. Definitely a great thing when going anywhere where you're going to see kids is taking a ball. It's definitely a great icebreaker, and taking a rugby ball was apparently even more interesting because a lot of the kids have played with footballs, but not rugby balls. So, bounces in odd directions and things like that. But yeah, it was a great way for the kids to kind of interact. And yeah, throwing a ball around is definitely a great icebreaker. And now I know that a lot of these images are actually taken by one of our guides, Jackson, and this was during Anita's stay with her family. And so he's got he's a fantastic photographer, and it's great having a guide who's a good photographer because he then knows how, the angles that you need and things like that for guests. So it's really nice having someone who knows what it's like to be behind the camera as well, and take such stunning photos for us particularly. Really, really beautiful sightings out in the Mara, as we all know. Now, this is a quick look at, this is actually one of our Africa Hub maps, and it's a little look at the migration and kind of when it is expected to be where. My colleague Orla is actually down in the Mara at the moment. She's staying at Naibor for 3 weeks, which is incredible. She just was at Lewa for 3 weeks, and now she's headed to Naibor for 3 weeks, which is really, really cool. And she was actually, I was just listening to her voice note before this, because she was saying how the migration has not been as expected this year, which I think is maybe becoming more common. But yeah, the rains weren't as good as expected. So it's been very, very dry and not very green. And so actually she said when they headed further south, you could see them, the herds actually heading back into the Serengeti. This was just the other day. So it's really interesting. Generally, we were always able to predict, but it's potentially getting harder and harder. Generally, late August through into September, and actually October is a great secret month for the migration usually, because it is sort of later in the season. We're outside of the high season. We run that 3 for 2 in October, so you can get a shorter stay in, but still get a really great special offer, and usually have brilliant herds. So that October half term period, for those of you in the UK, is really, really good. But obviously the migration is just such an incredible phenomenon to see. Those herds are just spectacular, and that there is a definite understanding for why the Mara is busier during this time, with herds and with people, because it is just such a spectacular thing to witness. And I think anyone who's been to the Mara knows that those the wide open plains, the big skies, the landscape alone is something to to marvel at, and a reason to visit in itself. An incredible destination for photographers. This is a quick look back at that slide that I had at the beginning. This gives you an idea of the rates. Now that we've spoken about it, you can kind of put them into context a bit more. The access and the activities that we've touched on as well, and also looking at that offer as well. So just wrapping up with kind of why Naibor. So the location is the kind of thing we really do go on about, and there's a reason for that. We are located in a brilliant spot right in the heart of the Masai Mara National Reserve. We're surrounded by incredible places to go and view game. It does get quite busy in the Mara, but what's really nice about that, about where we are, is that the guides in the camp know this area incredibly well. They know the areas that get busy, and they know where those sort of secret spots that are a bit quieter. So they really do try their hardest to make sure guests have an intimate experience, especially if they are not so bothered about saying absolutely everything, but would like to get away from the crowds a little bit more. And I do think going in the off season is a really awesome way to have that kind of experience as well. Accommodation. So we've got 3 different types of accommodation. You've got main Naibor, which is brilliant for couples. We can add an extra bed into those rooms, but they do lend themselves to kind of couple travel really well, because we've obviously got Little Naibor, which works so well for families. And then those lovely tents at Naibor Wilderness, which are brilliant for small groups, or even just couples whose budget maybe just doesn't stretch to that of main Naibor, and we're trying to cut budget somewhere. Naibor Wilderness works really well. At the end of the day, you're having the same food, the same guiding, and you're in the same location. You've got a slightly different, a different sort of interior decor. And of course, it's a really classic out of Africa style safari with beautiful big tented suites in one of, you know, the world's most famous safari destinations. You've got big 5 game viewing, and we really do get kind of incredible feedback, and so rarely do we have negative feedback.